For virtually all carbon reporting systems, you have to record how much carbon was emitted by your petrol and diesel use, aka company vehicles. Let's have a look at how we do that. So let's have a look at how we work out the emissions of your company vehicles. So what do we mean by a company vehicle? Well, it's all the things that you buy the fuel for use in that vehicle, okay? Typically that's company cars, your company vans, trucks, but it can include things like forklift trucks as well. So if you've got some LPG forklift trucks or maybe some propane forklift trucks, you have to really include those as well. But going back to cars, vans and trucks, which form the majority of it, that's what we're going to look at, but we're not going to look at company use of private cars. So for example, when people either commute into the office or they go on business trips and reclaim mileage. This is just about the vehicles where you buy the fuel and you supply it for use by an employee, okay? So how do we do it? We do it using carbon factors. So we've got a lookup table of how much carbon is emitted per litre of diesel used or per litre of petrol used, and we use that to multiply to figure out the carbon emissions, okay? If you've got a list or a record, so for example you've got a fuel card that gives you the exact number of litres consumed, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Every month look at the amount of litres of diesel used, the amount of petrol used, multiply it by that, the relevant factors, and that's the sort of carbon emissions. In my book, and I've got a book out at the moment, my first book, Net Zero for Business. So if you're interested in finding out how to get to net zero for your business, that's a good starting point. In the book, I give an example where a company used over the course of a month 18,480 litres, okay, 1840. To figure out the emissions from that, we just take how much carbon is emitted per litre of diesel, which in the UK in 2023 is 2.56 kilograms of CO2e. Don't forget the E, that's the equivalent factor, CO2e, which gives a total of 47 tonnes of CO2. Do that maths, multiply 18,480 by 2.56 and you get 47 tonnes of CO2. It's as easy as that. The challenge comes, the problems start happening if you don't have an exact sort of record of what diesel or petrol was being used. In that case, in that instance, you have to try and work it out. And that's where it starts getting a little bit inaccurate, because if you've got, for example, a record of the mileage done by your fleet, so say people submit mileage records or something like that, and that's all you've got to go on, then the best you're going to do is to take that mileage, divide it by the average miles per gallon of that particular vehicle. That should give you a figure, an approximate figure of how much diesel or petrol was being consumed, and then you can use that calculation we just discussed, multiply that by the carbon factor. So it's not as good because, MPGs are not a reliable method of determining how much sort of fuel is used. They're pretty good, but say you've got a car at 36 miles per gallon that's stuck on a motorway sort of traffic jam for like an hour and a half, it doesn't kind of work, the maths kind of go to pot. But that's what you do, you take the mileage divided by the MPG. If you haven't got the mileage, and a few of my customers, they don't have that, so a few clients are saying, well, we don't have usage and we don't have mileage, but they do have cost records. Then you do the same kind of thing as we just did with MPG, so you take the amount they spend, divided by the average price of diesel or petrol, as may be, and then that will give you the approximate number of litres, and then you use that to figure out your carbon emissions. It's really quite straightforward, but of course that's even more inaccurate than just the MPG, which is more inaccurate than pure usage. And that's why when we work these things out, if we've got absolute usage of diesel and petrol, that's the best. That's what we use first. If we haven't got that, we do mileage. If we haven't got that, we do spend. Okay, A, B, C. That's how you do it. It's as easy as that. There's one gotcha. There's one gotcha that I'm going to sort of tell you. We come across it quite a lot, which is electric vehicles. Okay, obviously an electric vehicle doesn't have an MPG, so some of the maths kind of go a bit wrong. But you can look at the amount of electricity they used to charge them up, and just be careful. if you've got a client, or one of our clients, where their electric vehicles are charged on site, be careful you don't double count it. Okay, if you've got the electricity that you use to power up, to charge your electric cars, if that's already in the electricity bills that you've processed for your scope 2, then you might be double counting. So just be careful you don't double count that, and if you are, just separate it out and just make sure you don't do that. Okay, there you go. I hope that was useful. If it was, and you like this sort of stuff, Net Zero for Business, it's available on Amazon. If you were to buy it, fantastic. If you get a good review, that's even better. And I don't make a penny for the book. You know, it's a zero profit exercise. I just want to give back to you guys and kind of help you lower your carbon footprint. That's what I'm about. Okay, hope that was useful. I'll see you next time.